Since 2017, the Italian Wine Podcast has exploded and expects to hit 6 million listens by the end of July 2023. We're celebrating this success by recognizing those who have shared the journey with us and giving them the opportunity to contribute to the ongoing success of the shows. By buying a paper copy of the Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0 or making a donation to help the ongoing running costs, members of the international Italian wine community will be given the chance to nominate future guests and even enter a prize draw to have lunch with Stevie Kim and Professor Attilio Scienza. To find out more, visit us at italianwinepodcast.com. Chin chin! Welcome to this special Italian Wine Podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in. So, here we are. It is a Thursday morning, and it is raining cats and dogs, or I think it may have stopped by now, but let's...
Okay. For once, it's not raining here in New Zealand.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner. I am here today with moderator Marco Nordio, who is in New Zealand, and our guest today is Sebastian Nasello, and I'm going to let Marco do the intro for Sebastian, but I'm here today on a rainy morning because I guess in New Zealand, what time is it in New Zealand right now?
New Zealand is 8 p.m. I just had dinner. After dinner, perfect timing.
Wow. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm here in place of Stevie Kim because she is off on her travels for the Mama Jumbo Shrimp channel and for the Italian Wine Podcast and for, many different interviews that she's doing at the moment. So I'm here. And Clubhouse is incredibly the actual platform seems to have crashed, but we put everything on it's replayed on the Italian Wine Podcast. And so this is being recorded, and I will let everybody know when that comes out. We have a 100th episode Clubhouse coming up soon. It is going to be, actually, Laika, you know a lot more about this. Help me out here. When's that happening?
Hey, Joy. So, yes, the Clubhouse for 100th episode is going to be next week on July 13 at 5:30 p.m. And it's going to be with Matt Irwin interviewing Chiara Bosques. So we're really looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's get into this episode today. So I'm going to introduce you, Marco. You're born in Chioggia, Venezia, and you trained as an economist at Bocconi University in Milan. And after spending 10 years working in finance in Italy and overseeing, you flew overseas and went to New Zealand on a yacht. Oh my God, I know exactly who you are because I read your story on your website. And I was like, oh my God, this man is so interesting. Okay, so you landed after 3 years. And you studied wine science at the Auckland University, and you planted a small vineyard with Nebbiolo and Pinot Grigio, and you reached a full barrel production of Nebbiolo, and then you turned to importing, and you import a large portfolio of Italian wines, probably the largest in New Zealand, and Podere Le Rippi is your star Montalcino producer. Yes. Sorry, I knew that I recognized you, but I was like, no, because there's so many people, right? And I was like, oh, and then I saw this just now, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I do this story of you going across the ocean, and I think I saw your wife was there too.
Yes,
you guys went together, and what's it like being on the ocean for 3 years?
Well, you realize that wine is in short supply, so you run out of wine quite quickly. Also because you give away some to the friends who are the boats.
Yeah.
So wine is something which is only in short supply. And I always wonder, there are these big tanks for water on the boat. Why not turning a water tank into a wine tank? That would be a very, very good idea for yachts, because
Oh my God.
wine seems to be always in short supply.
But you never did that though, right? Because I feel like that's a genius idea.
No, I didn't do it yet. Maybe it's my next project.
Fantastic. All right. So I will ask you, why exactly did you choose Sebastian Nasello for your interview today?
Yes, there are several reasons. Well, the first reason that is quite obvious, I think I love the wines that Sebastian is making. And, first of all, Brunello is one of my favorite denominations in Italy. But there is something about the Sebastian wines that they have this kind of, I kind of drew inspiration from some critics define as exotic, like savory, exotic spices that set Podere Le Ripi, Brunellos, and Sangiovese apart. Also, Sebastian is the definition of innovation. I think is young, innovative, and this is what Italy badly needs. And I think it's a good example for young people in Italy to draw inspiration from. He's a master of Sangiovese. He won a prize because of that, the famous Gambelli Prize. And I think it's a very good example of what kind of innovation you can even in Italy, but it's quite conservative country. Even in Italy, you can have yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. So inspirational. So what is it you want the nerdier crowd in the community and anybody listening to take from this conversation?
Yeah, so basically everyone knows that Montalcino produced some of the best wines in Italy. But what I would like Sebastian to spend few words about is what innovative style you can make, even in Montalcino, even in a quite traditional denomination, and apart from wines that can age very well, as we all know, but the kind of a feature in a wine that becomes distinctive, that you can have a recognizing and becomes like a trait, a signature. I think Sebastian wines have a kind of a signature that the drinkers and taster can easily recognize.
Great. Okay. Well, then, without further ado, let's see here. Are you there, Sebastian? Have we lost Sebastian? Hold on.
Hi. Here. Hi.
Great. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself, and then I'll come back at the end if there are any questions. And go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, ciao, Sebastian.
Ciao,
so
Marco.
I'm very glad that you actually can talk in this podcast and you can explain, because you really deserve this space. I just do a very brief introduction. You won this, as I mentioned, this Premio Gambelli as the best winemaker under 35 years old. And Gambelli, as we all know, is the hero of Sangiovese. So you basically continue the tradition of this Gambelli innovative winemaker. And you have a lot of projects that we're going to talk, and you're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
And first of all, I would like to ask you one question, the first question to start with. How did you become a winemaker? And did you always want to do this job, Sebastian?
First of all, thank you for this opportunity. And let's see, I love to say that after 12 years, I remember very well when I arrived in Podere Le Ripi, I was a kind of intern. And now, let's say, with the team, we run the whole operation with over 30 people. And let's say, but we are still commit with the same mindset and passion and curiosity of 12 years ago. Winemaker, it's a job that like most of the job in the world, it needs lots of patience and curiosity, because in my personal opinion, is a endless journey of learning. And I became a winemaker, I think, thanks to my curiosity, because from when I was very young, I was very in love with farming and with the landscape, and also with this particular business where you have to find a perfect balance between the sensitivity for the nature, but also the knowledge of the man, because by the way we deal with the ecosystem, we deal with plants, but we also need to be aware and skills about transforming the grape in wine that is something coming from the human. And this is a beautiful game that for me can represent a way to feel free, to have a kind of personal expression, way to express ourselves. And I feel very lucky, because I think being in the wine industry today, and especially making wine, it's a great opportunity, is a beautiful job, is something that really inspire our mind and our brain to grow.
Yes. So this is a job that you would certainly recommend to young Italians to pursue a career that can give you a lot of satisfaction. And I always think that young people, maybe they don't know how to start. How did you start initially? What was the first step? And what would you recommend to young Italian? What is the first step to take?
Yeah. I had the tip. I'm not coming from a family in the wine industry, and I started with farming, and after with university winemaking. And I know very well the young Italian condition, because my team is based in young people. Average is around 28, 30 years old, and most of the guys are with us for a long time. They are hired very young, and they are in some way incubate, grow inside the company in order to make them very love and commit with our mission. I think, of course, it's very important to take part of the university program and all the study program. But for what I saw, the most successful young people in the wine industry today are people that really invest, be more than just their time in the university in this world, but maybe they spend also time traveling among the wine regions, taking part of wine event, taking part of a tasty wine group. And this world require curiosity, and also the willing to know more, to talk with more people, to do networking. And it's not extremely easy for Italian young people, because I also needed mentorship, and mentorship is something in Italy very weak and not very common, but very typical of many other countries in the world. But I think for my personal experience, without having the opportunity to meet and join couple of mentor that really changed my life, I would be not here today. And when I talk about mentorship, I don't want to say people that say master, that are there to say you what you have to do or how or when, but more people that can inspire you, can inspire you to do more question to yourself, to to be more open, no? And talking about Gambelli has been for me very important. For example, for my personal story, I arrived in Montalcino with a mindset, with a knowledge, be more academic. That is great, because I know the science behind winemaking. But in Montalcino, thanks to Francesco, for example, that is one of my mentor, I have been exposed to wine like the wine of Gambelli, like Soldera, like Poggio di Sotto. That really opened my mind to more sensitivity, to things that are not explainable through the books or through the study, but in the university. I'm meaning in the university, but you start to dive inside yourself, inside the wine industry, to understand if there is something more that we have to know.
Yes, it's very important what you said. And just for the audience, I say that when you mention Francesco, you are referring to Francesco Illi, that is the owner, the founder of Podere Le Ripi. It is another example of an innovative entrepreneur and wine aficionado, wine lover that started from scratch together with you, something that now becoming so successful. Just a question that is more a curiosity, Sebastian. What other jobs would you have considered in your life if you were not to become a winemaker?
That's a hard question. I think now I'm 36 and I'm still struggle to know better myself. But I understood that what is very important for me is freedom, and freedom for me it's the opportunity to express myself in what I do, to also take decisions, to do mistake and understand why, and this is why I think if I have to think something else than winemaking, I would go for something in the kitchen or something where you can talk about yourself through the services or through the experience or through the products that we are crafting. You craft.
Yeah. It is important to know, because what you're saying is basically wine for you is like cooking, is like creating something, and this is what is in your philosophy, and this is what I want to expand upon. Do you have a particular idea of what kind of philosophy for you? What is your inspiration in winemaking? Do you have any model that you regard as such, and what kind of achievement do you wanna reach?
Yeah, I have to say that let's say through the years I evolve a lot my taste and my philosophy in winemaking, and especially tasting more wine, especially traveling more around the world. And nowadays I can say that the wine that let's say they impress me more are wine with a strong personality coming from the terroir, the place where they are coming from, or also the personality of the winemaker or the vintage. This is why I like wine with mainly terroir driven, with lots of shadows and flavors typical of maybe a specific vineyard or a specific region. And the real pleasure that I have tasting a wine or making it a wine is the beauty of appreciate the uniqueness of every barrel, every vineyard, every vintage. And for me, talking about Sangiovese, I really like this skill of this grape able to be a kind of chameleon or a kind of mirror of the place, because Sangiovese himself doesn't taste very much. It's a grape that takes a lot, like a sponge, from the place where he's growing the vineyards, and this is why, let's say, it's for me it's an opportunity working with Sangiovese, because we have a grape that really photography a specific place. And this is the wine that I drink most. Mono variety, very high personality terroir, very low intervention in the cellar, and mainly made by handcraftsmanship.
Yeah, very good. I think now we take a step back, Sebastian, if we can, and you talk about the current production. You talk a bit more about Podere Le Ripi. What is Podere Le Ripi? What the current production, and also a little bit about a bit of a curiosity here, the story behind the distinctive labels, the bottle labels for Podere Le Ripi.
Yeah, Podere Le Ripi, it's a project started in the 97 by Francesco that decided to move in Tuscany and step by step do some wine. In 2011, we decided together to let's say start a new cycle and finally make this place blossom. And now we have 34 hectares of vineyards, plus an olive oil production, honey production, and also animals and garden. And our path, our journey is a journey where we go back to the beginning, because in some way we are transforming our place in a farmhouse where vineyards, of course, are the core business, but we try to pay attention to everything, to the whole frame, to the whole cycle of farming around the farmhouse, like it was 100 years ago in Italy before the transformation of farmhouse in wineries. And and we make wine in different places of Montalcino, farming following the biodynamic philosophy. And we mainly do wine, especially in the last year. We try to evolve a lot the entry level wine, being more in the idea to enhance the freshness of Sangiovese through the fermentation with the stems, through different methods. On top of this young wine, we have the classic Brunello and Rosso di Montalcino that are defined not by the process but by the vineyards. This means that we mainly produce single vineyard Brunello, are 3 in total, and are vineyards where we discover particular soils and condition in order to have a wine that ferment separated and also age separated. And we will have to show the single personality of these plots. And this is the idea behind the wine. Behind the labels, we have several particular labels. Francesco has a background of kind of artist. He did many photography. He wrote some book, and he always been very sensitive to the beauty of art and nature. And this is how we end with the label of today, and where 3 of them are a very intimate mantra and also words with the aim to inspire young people to do something with love, with curiosity, with some of foolish, and this is what we have today on the labels.
Yes, these distinctive names, Amore, Follia, Amore, Magia, Lupi e Sirene. I would invite the audience to explore the labels because they are really in tune. They are really suitable for the kind of wines, stressing the point of innovation and the respect for the environment, as you were saying.
If I can just add 2 words, Podere Le Ripi, in the environment of Montalcino, it's not a very common winery, because for the way of how we do business, we can say, because first of all, it's a community business. We have lots of young people, and we don't have seasonals, and also the idea to work in the vineyards, in the farm, like not just viticulture, but be more large, and work with our consultant, and with this inspiration to grow a kind of little ecosystem. This is very typical of us, and I think is also some vision that I took and I grow from the initial vision of Francesco. And I don't think we make wine Brunello untraditional, because the way, Marco, you've been in the cellar, we work with a big cask, we do wild fermentation. The wine is very loyal to the tradition of Montalcino wine, but at the same time, we can do innovation in many different ways. For example, what we did that has been very, I can say pretty new for the area, we introduced HR in our business. That for any kind of business is something normal, but for farming, it's totally new. And now we have an HR department in the winery. We introduced a very well-made program of hospitality that for Tuscany now it's quite established, but 10, 12 years ago was totally new. And also, for example, we did some innovation now, working with Sangiovese in a different way, with the stamps, with carbonic maceration. Those are not, let's say, innovation that we do to change Brunello, and we don't want to make innovation in the products, but mainly in the whole vision of the business, in the whole evolution of the company. Also because, let's say, tradition is something very important for us, but tradition is dynamic. It's not something that really stuck. And this is why we can do innovation in many different ways, not just thinking that the products are the wine himself, but we have an environment that is changing. We have a market, as you know, that is changing a lot. We have the customers, the wine lovers that are changing the media, and we have to stay open and stay in some way dynamic and able to take all the input that we got from the environment, from the market, for the consumer.
Yes. It is certainly a dynamic environment. I want to ask you, Sebastian, about how you see the difference of the Sangiovese, this beautiful grape, as you say, reflecting the sense of place, or terroir. I don't want to use a French word, but sense of place, ideally. So now you have this Montalcino, you have the Chianti Classico in Tuscany, and you have a Nobile di Montepulciano. And then you have this new area that you are particularly interested in Monte Amiata. How each of these areas have a different personality in how do they create a different version of Sangiovese, in your opinion?
Yeah, Sangiovese, it's our, I will say, Sangiovese is the way for us to read the territory, and each of the area that you named is characterized by different microclimate, as you know for sure, and also different soils. The two areas that I know better, of course, are Montalcino and the Amiata mountain that is totally new, as an outsider. And Montalcino, for what I know, compared with Chianti or Montepulciano, other Tuscan wine regions, is being more dominated by clay. Clay is something that we name a lot in the wine industry, but we should be aware that clay is a big family. There are so many kinds of clay. The clay of Bordeaux is not the clay of Tuscany. And I had this book a few months ago, wrote by Pedro Parra, and the name is Terroir Footprint, and it's a crazy, beautiful book, probably the best I ever read in the wine industry, about wine and terroir and soils, where you really get deeper in the idea of how the clay can be different, and of course, in consequence, all the different compound of the soil, limestones, sand or silt, And for Montalcino, I think we have a very particular clay that mainly originated by the ocean sedimentation with a different kind of limestone compared with Chianti, for example. And this soil that, of course, has a huge variability inside the territory because we have also alluvial soil, we have also more rocky soil, but a big part of the soil on the hill of Montalcino are marl, mix of clay and limestone. And this soil really gives to the Sangiovese of Montalcino that touch of signature of layered mouthfeeling, deep mouthfeeling that is typical of the wine of Montalcino. And it's and this is so beautiful because at the end, Sangiovese can take all this input from the environment and translate in different wine just by himself. And it's like I always say that the DNA of Sangiovese is not so strong because at the end you don't feel, if when you taste a great Sangiovese, you don't feel that the a specific flavors recognizable for this variety, like could be for Cabernet, or a specific spiciness or tannin, but it's more the wall. You taste the wall that is very influenced by the location. And just to add 2 words about the Amiata, it's the very close mountains of Montalcino, growing up to 1,700 meters. And with a friend of mine, 3 years ago, we decided to take this journey to discover a new terroir. We gamble on the idea to grow Sangiovese with be higher altitude and on a different soil because we still have ocean sedimentation soil, but with a different clay and with a different limestone. And there now we are growing 6 hectares of Sangiovese grape in a totally different terroir that it's a kind of white page that we are trying to interpret and study in order to deliver a different Sangiovese. And this is the real beauty of my job. Let's say having a journey where for sure we know that we're gonna learn a lot.
Italian Wine Podcast, part of the Mama Jumbo Shrimp family.
Yes, no, totally. I will be very curious to try these new wines from Montagnata from high altitude vineyards, and hopefully we're gonna add that to our portfolio here in New Zealand soon. I want to ask you a related question regarding different sites, but this time in the Montalcino area denomination. You know, it's quite a large area for Montalcino, and there are different size, different aspects. Your vineyards are located in Castelnuovo dell'Abate, and then the Cielo d'Ulisse is more on the southwest. How important in Montalcino is the different size? For example, now northern size seems, and do you think it will make sense for Montalcino to subdivide the same way MGA in the same way the Chianti and Barolo is going?
Montalcino, it's big, but it's not too big for me because we are talking about one hill, mainly one hill, not multiple hills or valley like, for example, Chianti. And this is why we recognize 4 macro expositions and having a hill that starts around 100 meters above the sea level and reaching 600 meters. We have different altitude, and this is a kind of condition where we determine a different microclimate. On top of this, we have, of course, different soils because the sedimentation happen in different way in according of the altitude, and also the erosion did some mix up of the different soils. For me, growing vineyards in 2 different macro area of Montalcino, mainly the southeast and the southwest, I really love the idea to keep them separated and underline the differences of these two different locations, taking advantage of the beauty of Sangiovese, able to do this. We don't have any classification of the soil. I can say, as a wine consumer, I'm a wine consumer, but I'm also a wine nerd, and this is probably a point of view bit personal. But as a wine nerd, I love to drink wine where I can really go deep in the provenance. Means even in the single plot, I can do, for example, in Piemonte, where I can drink MGA, single vineyard, and I can dive in the map, watching how is the exposition, where is the vineyard, who is the neighbor. And this is something that for me is really feed myself, my curiosity. This is why I love one day, I wish one day for Montalcino the same opportunity. For now, we don't have it. It's not something easy because require lots of study of the territory by high professional people like geologists, but we are also lucky to have one grape only, and is the right grape because it's the grape where that underline these differences. This is why, when I have a guest in Montalcino or when I talk with someone about Brunello, I always talk about different soils, its positions, climate conditions, because I think it's what make our job impossible to copy or repeat around the world.
Yes, I think, Sebastian, we need to invite Mas Naghetti to come to Montalcino and spend a few weeks to map all the territory, produce these beautiful books that he made for Barolo and for Chianti Classico. Beautiful book. So I think Montalcino is ready for that. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, Sebastian, you mentioned this whole cluster fermentation as a method that you want to probably to increase, to use more and more. What kind of interest? Where does this interest come from? What do you think it can achieve?
Yeah, let's say the traditional way to make wine in Tuscany, it's destemming the grape, means fermenting only the skins and the juice without stems, without any particular phase of carbonic, means fermentation with whole bunch. And a few years ago, I started to travel more in French, and this is one of the good things of COVID because I had been more time. And I was also asking myself, because of the climate, because of the risk to have a lack of acidity in our wine, every year more hot, every year more dry. And I started the first experimentation processing some Sangiovese without removing the stems and just fermenting the whole bunch inside the tank in order to understand if it could be helpful to manage the hot climate. And we end making some new cuvée that will arrive in the market from September that are not Brunello, but are new Sangiovese coming from vineyards that, in our opinion, are more suitable to work with the stems. And let's say it's something that we are studying. I think is an opportunity. I just came from a visit in Burgundy where we had also the huge opportunity to visit Romanée Conti. And when we ask why they use the stems, beside the tradition to use the stems, Aubert de Villaine answer, the stems will supply a kind of energy and vibrancy, and it's not really about the freshness, but it's more about the mouth feeling of something more vibrant, and that we really they told us we really want in our wine. This is why I think makes sense to understand if Sangiovese takes some advantage working with the stems, and especially for the terroir that we have in higher altitude in Baccanali on the Amiata, it's also very suitable for the kind of chemistry that we have in our grape, for the kind of ripening of the grape, and for the kind of personality of the kind of Sangiovese growing over 600 meters. This is why we are keep going. And there we also do only 100% wood cluster. And the wine is, of course, different from Montalcino. I always say if in Montalcino you can really dive inside the texture of the wine, because it's a texture made by many layer, many limestone sensation feeling, and charmy and Mediterranean in the Sangiovese of Montalcino. On the Amiata, just 5 kilometers, but in a totally different environment, I enjoy this kind of raw energy and be more masculine, and with a tannin that are not charmy, but a bit more straight but lean, with a not too much extraction, with not too much. Let's say the wine has a totally different shape.
Yes. Well, I'm very curious to taste the result of this innovation. So let's see what happens. I want to ask you now, Sebastian, about the aging of wines, because not many people are lucky enough to taste an aged Sangiovese. You need to afford these wines, and not many wineries keep a library for wine, because again it's a very expensive strategy to have. But can you describe? Of course, you had the chance to try aged wines. Can you describe how a Podere Le Ripi, Sangiovese, Brunello age we find, even like 10, 15, 20, 30, I don't know how long. But how does the wine change, in your opinion, Sebastian?
We have some old vintages. Talking about Podere Le Ripi, let's say our old wine are influenced mainly not only because of the longer aging, but also because at the beginning, we had young vineyards. I was young, full of mistakes, yes. And let's say we had wine that are not made with the same awareness and ripening of today. This is why probably some vintage is limited in the in potential of lasting, literally because the conditions were not right to make a wine for 20 years aging, because the vineyards were young, the cellar was full of new barrels, because we started from scratch, and also the team was not like today. My personal taste about Brunello, I'm not that kind of drinker that wants to drink Brunello mainly refined or old, but I also like the energy of a Brunello between 5 and 8 years old, especially in the last 10 years, where the climate made our Sangiovese be more ready, and this doesn't translate necessarily in a wine with lower potential of lasting. And but I also experience, as a wine consumer, Brunello from maybe some producer, some vintage, and some vineyard able to offer amazing experience. In my personal opinion, wine with aging must evolve. When I try a wine that didn't change one little shadow in 20 years and still taste totally like when it was made, for me that's not really doesn't pay pay back me enough. I want to feel the aging in some way. I don't want to feel a tired wine, but I want to feel something that go behind the personality of the young wine, and this is why when I had some of the biggest experience with Sangiovese, with old vintage, for me, they bring me in the flavors of the ocean. Means I taste in the Sangiovese that touch of, when you go to the fisherman, or maybe you go to the port and there is that kind of smell of salty water. That's the kind of profile that made me more in love with Sangiovese. It's not common, doesn't happen every year, neither for the same producer, but it's really delivery amazing experience. Sometimes, I'd say also in Nebbiolo, I had the same experience, and or you can have a Sangiovese that through the years delivering more sweetness, not because it became sweet, only because the tertiarization, the evolution of the smells and the tannins go more in a direction of being more sweet feeling, and are two different street. And we know that every wine that we do, one day we take one of the two. It's unpredictable which of the two, but this is my personal experience with Sangiovese.
Yeah. I came in touch with you and Podere Le Ripi in 2015 through our common friend Alessandro, that is a professional photographer, and we should both thank him, because thanks to him actually we are here doing this.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of story there, very nice story. But in 2015,
because when we met first time, I was totally inexperienced about, as I would say, sales and market. And you had to deal with a young guy that didn't know literally anything about how we sell wine around the world. And
I remember when I was sending by email my order or over the phone, I said, but who's the winemaker? It's you. You were answering the phone. You were answering, sending email. You were doing everything. So I said, this is a one-man band. So it was really early stages. But this, I mentioned this because I still have in my cellar, my small cellar, I have a 2011 Brunello Lupia Sirena that I keep it as a special wine for when my son will be ready to drink this. So I will share my experience with you eventually. Yes.
Yeah. 11 is a good vintage. I like it.
Oh, very good. Very good. Yes. And I wanted to ask you also, part of the job of an importer is also to educate, communicate a zone, communicate a winery, communicate your philosophy. I kind of feel sometimes we have a lot of responsibility, because all your job, what you describe, then is up to me to communicate it to my customers, to our common customers we have in New Zealand. I wanted to ask you, if you are in front of an audience and you don't have much time, you have less than an hour, what we have here, but you need to communicate just a few points. What would be the most important points to communicate to an average audience, average knowledge audience about Montalcino, about your wines in particular?
Yeah. I normally, especially when I'm short in time, do not speak about wine. That's something that I experience that it works, because it's most of the wine communication is based in what you can feel in a glass, what you can, how you describe the wine. Those are important things, very technical, but are not for me the things that inspire people to drink more or more often, especially a wine region. This is why I normally spend more time talking about our heritage or our culture or our environment, not necessarily about Podere Le Ripi. Let's say the people don't really care about how many months I keep the Sangiovese in the bottles. This is something that comes later for people that want to go in the details. But I think for some audience in the other side of the ocean, never been in Montalcino, in front of wines from everywhere, because maybe they can experience every day a wine from a different corner in the world. What we can do to do our best is just share our culture, our heritage, and make them a bit more friendly with the Italian idea of winemaking. And after, the wine must speak for himself in the glass. And it's not important that the guest will go out of the room saying Brunello tastes cherry. For me, it's important that they go home with a little seed of our culture, no? And it's maybe the culture of how Montalcino became what is today in the last 40 years from scratch, or why Sangiovese is so special. This is, for me, what is really important when we talk about education.
Yes. Oh, I think it's a very precious advice. Thank you for that, Sebastian. I think it's very, very true what you said. Sebastian, I want you to make a final comment in the time we have about Francesco Illy, because I think it is a character that's quite important in the winery as well. He's the owner, and just describe his personality, how your relationship with him, how he influenced the wines.
Yeah, I'm very thankful to Francesco because he onboarded me super young. And it was crazy enough to made me the main driver of the company. And it has been my mentor, has been my boss, and now is also my partner, because give me the opportunity to be partner of Podere Ripi, me and Alessandro, that is the agronomist. And this is, I think, one of the secrets of Podere Ripi, because at the end we have people that work not for a company, but for themselves, for something that they feel very personal, and is not working for someone else. And Francesco always been very sensitive, very curious, it's a character. Sometimes in Italy we say lunatico, I don't know, but let's say it's sensitive to the moon. We can translate it moody, yeah. And but at the end, he has been a visionary. He's a visionary man, because,
yeah.
And I'm not talking about how we make wine, because that's literally the smallest innovation. The big one has been the idea to develop the business in the way of we do today. The idea to be trustful with young people, and to make them able to understand, try, also do mistake, and change again. This is something that I think in the environment of entrepreneurs, Italian entrepreneurs, especially in the wine, is very hard to find. And Francesco today is not it doesn't come to Le Ripi to decide when it's time to bottle the wine or when it's time to harvest. It's more than 10 years that this is totally in the hands of the team, and he comes to Le Ripi to feel the energy, to maybe to share some vision, some inspiration, to be a mentor. And but there are farmers, there are cellar master, there are logistic manager, there are hospitality manager that they really work for Podere Ripi like their own company. This is the very unique things of Podere Ripi, I think so.
Yeah. It's like a cooperative where each one feels like he owns a little bit, and they really do it for the good of the cooperative. I have to say that one of the most successful tasting I run since I started this importing business is I did a live tasting where Francesco Illy was live on a screen in a restaurant here in Auckland, and the people were tasting the wines and food matching, and he was describing the wines, and he left such an impression on the people. But still, people talk about him, but because this is what you were saying before. Wine is about person, is about the human side of wine, the history more than the technical side, because it's about memories. Totally. Yes, absolutely. I think we are towards the end of our interest. Unless you want to add something, Sebastian.
I think we took a bit of everything. I can say for everyone want to visit Montalcino, Podere le Ripi, let's say we are more than happy to welcome you in the winery. We also launch a brand new wine bar with kitchen with wine from everywhere, and it's a new project that looks like a wine Starbucks. You go there for multiple reasons, and you end drinking wine from everywhere.
When is it gonna start?
It's already started 4 months ago. It's a little wine temple because it's a place for wine net and for the spread wine culture. Okay. His name is Vineria Aperta.
Vineria Aperta. I'll be there as soon as I can.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I was just listening. You just actually answered the question I was going to ask you, Sebastian. I was going to ask you if you had a lot of visitors, and if you had sort of a tourism thing going on, and you do a wine bar. So you said it's only been open a few months. Have you had many people come and visit, or?
Yeah, I don't know. About Podere le Ripi, we always did, let's say, wine hospitality without rooms, but with wine experiences. And we develop a lot this department, and we have lots of visitors. I will say, let's say, big numbers, all made to, let's say, make in a kind of educational way. On top of this wine hospitality program, me with some friends and also Francesco, we launched Vineria Aperta, just 3 kilometers from the winery. And that's totally different because it's a wine spot spin-off with over 1,500 labels, 3 somms in the room, a very easy local food, but a huge content of wine from everywhere, from Spain, from America, from best stuff, all great stuff from French, all the new stuff, but also the very classical, next to the greatest Brunello. And this is, I think, a huge opportunity for the Brunello himself to show next to amazing Burgundy or, I don't know, amazing Spanish wine. And this is a place that we need to feed the wine curiosity of people like us.
No, I think that's great. It's also really different. I'm sure that, but I haven't heard of that. So, that's really cool that you have wines from different places, because then they can make the comparison. So that's amazing. And I actually have another random question. This is absolutely completely different. I noticed that your winery has a cow, 12 sheep, 2 donkeys, and 5 goats.
Yeah.
Because this is so
now
random.
More, but
now you have more?
Yeah, because we don't have a birth control.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. How do you, I understand that it's part of the biodynamic process. It's really great. But how do you care for all of these animals? Like, what do they do?
That's the real hard work, because making wine compared with taking care of animals is nothing. And I learn on my skins. And we had a few pack of animals in 2018 as another step in the direction of farmhouse model and biodynamic philosophy. The pack is keep growing, and we don't produce any milk or meat for now. We use them to do part of the compost that we need. That I would say around 20%, because with our vineyards we will need much more. And it just when in your daily routine you do something small, but that keep growing day by day very slowly. This is the same.
Yeah.
We don't want to be breeders, but we want to be farmers. And thanks God, with Brunello di Montalcino, with our company, we can invest a bit of time, energy, human resource, also in things that probably are not profitable, like having those animals there, but they enrich the whole picture. They pay back in different way.
Okay.
And this is the journey.
Yeah, no, I think I read that. I was like, oh, I wonder how that works. So thank you. Yeah. Well, it is the end of the hour. And I think, Sebastian, Marco, thank you so much for your time, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Yeah.
Our pleasure.
Great.
Yes.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Grazie.
Ciao, Sebastian.
Ciao a tutti. Ciao Marco.
Ciao.
Swirl, sniff, sniff, sip, sip. Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.